Welcome to Mikamcha Yisrael. In Parashat Lech Lecha, the pasuk reads, "Vayomer Hashem el Avram Lech Lecha me'artzecha." And Boré Olam says to Avram, "Go for yourself from this particular land, umi miladatecha, and from this your current birthplace, umi beit avicha, and from your father's house." And the pasuk continues, "El haaretz asher arecha," and ultimately to the land that I will show you. Chazal tell us that Avram Avinu was tested with 10 nisyonot, 10 moments that defined what faith really means. And when we think of those tests, our minds might jump to Ur Kasdim, a young Avram, defying Nimrod to the roar of a fire, the crowd holding its breath, a moment that is so heroic that he created a paradigm shift in human belief. And yet, the Torah barely mentions it. One line, a whisper, and then silence. Instead, the Torah lingers here on Lech Lecha, a command spoken not before a crowd, but into the quiet of Abraham's heart. Reb Simcha Zissel Broidy Zatzal explains that the difference between Ur Kasdim and Lech Lecha is the difference between a spark and a flame. Ur Kasdim is dramatic. It's the kind of test that happens once in a lifetime, and then it absolutely earns applause. But Lech Lecha is the test that never ends. It's the call to walk day after day, when there is no fire, when there's no crowd, no cheering, and there's only you, the road, and your creator. When Boré Olam said Lech Lecha, he was saying, leave what defines you, walk away from what feels safe, step into a future that you can't yet see. Because the flame of Ur Kasdim, it shows courage once. But the journey of Lech Lecha shows faith forever. And so Abraham's true greatness wasn't that he leapt into a fire, but that he kept walking after it every morning, every evening, every day, filled with small and hidden tests. That is really what Boré Olam values most. We all have our own Lech Lecha moments. They're not the headlines of our lives, they're the footnotes that really no one reads. The morning we rise for Shachrit, though we're exhausted, the conversation that we chose not to win, the humility to stay quiet when our ego is begging to speak. These are our hidden fires, the ones that burn without being seen. And oftentimes, the greatest Lech Lecha test doesn't happen in a desert or a palace, but in a place as ordinary as a bus rolling down the highway in Yerushalayim Ir HaKodesh. And on that fateful day, the bus was full. Among the passengers sat a well-dressed businessman, and a few rows away, a humble Baal Teshuvah whose eyes were soft but steady. 15 minutes into the ride, the businessman stood up and said, "Driver, Nahag, you gave me only 31 shekel in change, but I paid you with 100. The driver sighed. "Mister, you realizing that only now?" "Yes, I checked my wallet. The 50 is missing." The driver's voice hardened. "Achi, I've been driving since dawn. If I were to refund every complaint, I'd be bankrupt by noon," and the argument intensified. You know how it goes. Passengers turned around watching. Then without a word, the Baal Teshuvah shifted in his seat. He reached into his pocket. He took out a 50 shekel note, his lunch money for the week, and he let it fall silently onto the floor near the driver. Moments later, someone spotted it. "Look, there's a 50 on the floor. Maybe it fell from your wallet." The businessman bent down and relieved. He goes, "Yeah, here it is. I must have dropped it." He turned to the driver. "I'm so sorry. You were right." The bus exhaled. Peace returned. A few minutes later, the Baal Teshuvah whispers to a seatmate, "My rabbi always says for shalom, it's worth losing all the money in the world. That was the lunch money for my wife and I, but shalom, well, it must be sweeter than bread itself. And my rabbi promised me whoever gives in for peace, he never truly loses." Not long after, the wealthy man checked his pockets and he found the original 50 tucked inside his ID card. He walked to the front. "Nahag, that extra bill, Mechila, it must belong to someone else." The truth spread quietly while another passenger pointed towards the Baal Teshuvah. The businessman walked over and said before him in awe, "Let me get this straight. You gave up your own money for our fight?" The Baal Teshuvah smiled softly. "Actually," he said, "for shalom, you never lose when you choose peace." Bewildered, the businessman opened up his briefcase, proceeded to write out a check for 5,000 shekel and added another 500 nadi, cash, while saying, "Here, this is for you and your wife. It's for a royal lunch because now I see clearly which one of us is truly rich." The bus rolled on in silence, every passenger deep in the marrow of their being understood they had just witnessed a Lech Lecha of our generation, a man who turned his back on ego and comfort and walked quietly, humbly, straight into the embrace of Boré Olam. Ladies and gentlemen, Lech Lecha was never about distance. It was about courage, to walk away from yourself, to leave behind comfort, ego, the need to be right, and to walk toward a truth that only Boré Olam can see. Avram Avinu had his desert. This Baal Teshuvah had his bus, and each of us has our own road. It's not paved in stone, but in the quiet choices that no one will ever see. Moments when the world holds its breath and only Boré Olam bears witness. When we choose patience over anger, silence over pride, shalom over victory, maybe to the Shabbat table, when words could wound, yet we choose to let them heal. Maybe it's on the open road, especially here in Brooklyn after the summer, when another cuts across our path and we surrender the urge to win. It's not easy, but for the sake of peace. Maybe it's in the stillness of our home, a spouse, a child, a heart where yielding becomes Kedusha and Boré Olam smiles from the shadows. Lech Lecha means walk even when no one applauds. Go even when no one understands, because the master of the world counts every unseen step. He hears every word we never spoke and crowns every act of peace that costs us something real. On that bus, one man surrendered his meal and he dined with heaven. And then this, ladies and gentlemen, this is the mystery of Lech Lecha. When we walk away from ourselves, we lose nothing. We rise, we ascend. We walk straight and tenderly into the waiting arms of none other than Boré Olam himself. Mi ka'amcha Yisrael, Shabbat Shalom u'mivorach.